talking about, everybody was having their own individual video experience. As an advertiser, as a business, if you can play to reach this audience with your marketing messages, you have an audience that is paying attention and watching on these screens, but now we can't rely on a single channel, a single television advertisement to reach all of these folks. We need to figure out where to show our messages, and no matter what screen people are looking at and what they're doing on those screens. So because of that, I mean, it used to be relatively simple. We would have one television there where we would show our message. But with all of these new ways to consume content, it has become more difficult to reach an increasingly fragmented audience. TV used to be king or queen, but the numbers, as we can see, are declining. So I can't do a show of hands because you're all out in you're all out there where I can't see you. But I will bet if I did a show of hands for everyone, that the majority of people who are tuning in today watch television on demand, no matter on their variety of different platforms that you may use. And so that's what we're seeing. According to Nielsen, 31% of adults in the United States are light television viewers, meaning that they spent 2 hours in front of a TV, less than 2 hours in front of a TV per day. And of those that are actually watching it, less than half of them are actually engaged in seeing the ads. You guys remember way back when they first had television and you were able to press that button to forward through the commercials? Well, now it's as simple as doing that on your device. You can just forward through a commercial, you can skip, you can go to a different screen. But people have a lot of control. They have a lot of choice over what they are willing to watch. It's an increasingly impatient group of people, group of viewers, who are very particular about where they're going to spend their time and what content they're going to watch. Now, it's not to say that television is not a viable way to advertise or to reach your audience. It's simply my overarching point is that with so many new ways to access content, you as business owners, as today's marketers, need to be more nimble. You need to be more creative and figure out how to share your marketing messages in many places, everywhere your audience may be. All right, here's another cool stat. This year, 1.87 billion people worldwide will watch digital video via a mobile phone at least once per month. That is up 11.9% over 2017. And case in point, my flight here to California, that was just about every single person on the plane, except me, because I was preparing a presentation to talk about all the people who are watching their videos. These individuals actually represent more than 3/4 of all digital viewers. 78.4% of viewers are going to watch it. So just think about that and think about how many folks you are actually able to reach. Here's another stat to think about. 18% of the United States population has never signed up for cable television. Isn't that amazing? So we really need to start thinking about where these people are and how we're going to reach them. It's important because video can be very powerful for your business. It drives awareness. It can drive consideration of your products and your services, and it can drive traffic to your website and to your storefront business as well. So it's the changes that we're seeing in video overall are great news for your business. People are still watching videos. It's just that we need to be more strategic about how we are going to present our messages to people. Now, let's look at this next slide. It's showing an example of what some person may have done to go through their day where watching videos impacted a decision at the end of the day to make a purchase. One of the things that I like to do when I'm presenting is to make it real. And I had several examples that I was going to talk about today. One of them I won't go into too much detail, but apparently I have been seeing an ad that's been telling me that I've been wearing the wrong size underwear for my entire life. But let's not go through that journey because that might get too racy. Let's talk about something a little more PG, and we'll talk about my spin class. So I was telling Alexa from SCORE that I am, on my spare time, I also teach exercise classes. And this Friday, in case you didn't know, is May 4th, and it's going to be May the 4th Be With You class. And so what I needed to do was I needed to figure out what could I do to make my class more interesting and add to this theme. So I started by doing some searches about Star Wars and ideas and to gather ideas for classes. And I looked at different websites. And as I was going through that process, I saw an advertisement, and then I went to other websites and I read reviews of some of the products that I saw. And then I watched videos of some of the things in action. And then when I went to another website, I saw an ad again. And at the end of that day, I decided that in order to teach a really fun class on Friday, I definitely needed this Princess Leia wig, which apparently is on my doorstep now. So when I get home to Nashville tonight, that should be on my doorstep, and that is going to be what I actually wear tomorrow in my class. So that's one kind of silly example, but it really did happen and resulted in a purchase of that journey that you can think about. So when you are thinking about creating video content, start thinking about what your customers are doing and what they're looking for. Think about when they're watching a video, are they ready to make a purchase immediately, or are they still learning information about the products or services? Did they search for something on Google and make that purchase? And think about the stage that people are in that customer journey. Were they actually ready to purchase? Or are they interested in, but still gathering ideas and still undecided about what exactly they wanted and they needed? And so the videos that you show can serve as a way to educate or inspire a consumer by providing helpful and informative information about the products or services that they are researching online. All right, let's talk next about finding moment, but how do you know? How do you know what stage they are at in their journey, and how do you actually reach them? So let's talk about that next. We're talking about identifying your audience. In order to understand the behavior of your customers, so you first need to have a clear understanding about who they are. So what exactly are they looking for? What are their personas? And I like to start by writing stuff down. So here are some questions that you can write down to start building out this persona of your ideal audience. So first of all, who is your ideal customer? Who is this person? And what is if it's a storefront, or if it's a feeling, if it's some sort of attitude about the business, what is that describes your business, your atmosphere, your attitude? If you're a physical location, where are you located? Even if you're not a physical location, how do people get to it? Are they finding it on mobile devices? Are they finding it online? Are they seeing billboard advertisements? Any way that someone might actually access and see your business. And then thinking about all this, who is it that you actually want to show this video to? Who is this ideal audience member who can see this marketing message and then hopefully take that information to think about it more or take the next step? All of these questions can help you craft a voice that helps you reach the right audience for your business, no matter where they are on their path to conversion. And once you figure it out, you can start using the insights, these personas, to narrow down your audience and ensure that you are creating quality content that also matches your category and your goals. Just like I said at the beginning of the class, before you do any of this work, first and foremost, think about what it is that you want to happen at the end. So if you have a goal, I want someone at the end of the day to decide that this wig is going to be the best prop to wear in your class tomorrow, then that's going to be the goal that helps shape and drive the content that you create, whether that's video or content, images, whatever it is that you're presenting online. Now, let's talk about categories. You're able to give a category or assign a category to videos, and you want to understand how your audience is actually searching for that content related to that category. So one way to do that is to look at a video platform and search for similar videos. Search through the categories of content that are available. Look at other businesses like yours that offer the similar products and services and see how they're categorizing their videos. So if you can understand what is trending in your business category, you can understand how people search, how people are looking, how other people organize this content. It can help you determine how potential customers are interacting with products and services that are related to yours. So here are 3 questions that you can ask yourself when you are viewing other channels. First of all, what type of content? Second of all, ask what audience do you think this channel is trying to reach? Who's the target audience? And the third tip is taking a look at autocomplete results. So if you go to a video website and then you type in and you start doing a search, let's just say you're typing in a search for wigs and you do a search WIG, and then you see what the autocomplete results are. It's going to give you some information about some of the common themes and popular searches that can help inspire your channel. So start niche and then broaden your search according to any larger themes that you see. So for example, you might say, all right, I see lots of video content, or things are being organized in categories like beauty and fashion, or entertainment, or film and animation, or food, or automobiles. So start thinking about broad categories that are related to your products and services, where you can start potentially creating content that will resonate with that audience. Okay. So I've been talking kind of big picture about how to reach an audience and how to create a video that works towards meeting your goals. And I'm assuming that everyone out there knows that how important video is. But you're probably thinking, well, okay, that's great, Stacia, but how do I actually do that? It all starts with planning. And so I'm going to give you a way to break down the process of creating videos, from concepting to scripting and storyboarding. And the idea behind this part of the session is to get you ready to tackle the process on your own. So let's start by talking about creating eye-catching videos. So what makes a certain video, certain type of content, perform better than others? How is it that this video went viral? There are no guarantees, and there's no magic recipe for content that will win 100% of the time. But let's take a look at a few recommendations that you might try that you can use as a framework to guide you when you concept your videos, and to try to set your videos up for success from the start. So it used to be that when you created a video, or if you were going to create a video, you would hire a studio and a team of people and professional videographers and sound people to make a high quality video. And that's still true in some cases, where, yesterday I was in a really beautiful studio filming a live stream. A mobile device has the ability to make a quality video now. Now, it's going to take some work and some planning to make something that someone would watch. But with some information, with some pre-planning, you can create content that was once strictly the purview of a large studio. With advancements in technology, you can basically fit the television, the telephone, the computer, the clock right in your pocket, and people can experience your products, your services, the world in infinite new ways. So let's talk about how you can use these tools to reach your audience by publishing videos through social media, embedding them on websites, all those things. So first of all, as you get started, think about what it is that you're trying to do. Start with the brainstorm. One big tip is that content that is very or overtly salesy doesn't always resonate with an audience. In fact, we often see that by creating content and not a commercial, it can be more effective for promoting your products and services. So one thing, or you may have heard sort of the three pillars here, the educate, entertain, and inspire. But those are really great goals to keep in mind as you work on and strategize about creating content that resonates with your audience. If your videos can do one or all of these things, you have a much better opportunity, a much better chance that someone's actually going to watch more, maybe even all of your video, and then remember it. And then at some point, maybe immediately, maybe eventually, maybe down the line, take that next step. But start with that brainstorm. So let's talk about concepting the video next. The first thing you'll do is think about your business. So what are you going to focus on? Who is your audience, and what is it that you want to tell them? And what you're going to do is you're going to create a script based on a series of questions and the outcome that you want to achieve after that video. So here is one set of questions. It's just an idea to help you get started. Figure out, all right, if someone, a potential customer, you're trying to get them interested in your service, what's the process? How does it go? Is it a simple step to get this set up? And you can show that in your video. If you want someone to buy something, the second thing that you can think about is, well, what makes you different and better? What makes your product stand out from your competitors? And how do you actually help people? What problems does this product or service solve? What is it that you do better? And what kind of experience will a customer get working with your business? What kind of feeling do you want people to leave with once they have done business with you? And what was the spark that started your business? Why did you start it? These are just some ideas, but you want to start by defining your focus. What is it that this video is supposed to do? Before you know that or pick the right idea, have that brain dump. Then figure out which details, which ideas are the most important, which ones will potentially resonate with your audience the most, and then use those to focus on. Another thing, though, with all this, remember to keep it short. If you find that you're really excited about several different things that are on your list of ideas, maybe you're going to make more than one video. Long videos can be difficult to watch unless they're really, really interesting. But a series of short videos that focus on a particular point might be very successful for your video content. Let's talk about the next step, which is scripting and storyboarding. So the best way, well, I think the best way to start is to actually try with a 5-sentence overview. That's going to help you figure out what it is exactly that you're trying to do. And so if you can't describe the point of your video, the point of your content in 5 sentences, then maybe you need to refocus and re-clarify what it is you want that outcome to be. So then write out what you'd like to say, and you can start breaking it down. So basically you'd say, all right, I want to show this thing, this shot, and I'm going to say these sentences about it. And as you work through this script, shot by shot, you can start reading that script aloud. Sometimes when things that you write don't translate well to spoken words. That's why whenever I'm preparing for one of these webinars, I do have written notes that I look at that accompany each of the slides, but I try to make the time to actually read aloud everything that I'm going to say in advance, because it gives me a chance to say, you know what, that point wasn't very clear, or I could say that better, or I've got a great example like my Princess Leia wig story here. Anything that will make that video, that story come to life more. Try to stick to 1 sentence per shot. So again, attention spans are very short, and with video content, less can be more. So try 1 sentence per shot for clarity and conciseness. And you really need the hook. You need to really capture them right at the beginning. Think about the first 5 seconds of your video. That is when your best shot of getting your audience's full attention. And so what you want to do is make sure that that first 5 seconds really captures their interest so that they are hopefully going to watch even more of the video after that, after those 5 seconds are over. So let's talk about some additional production tips to consider when you're shooting your video. First of all, when you make your video, take a look at where you're going to be. Take a look at the space that you have to work with. Try to think visually. How is this going to look? A lot of times, if you've ever sold a home or you've been staging a home, and you probably were told that you had to remove anything that was, anything personal, anything that's cluttery. So basically, you want to take away the focus from anything that could distract focus from the point of your video. So remove any clutter. And if you are trying to do some subtle or even not subtle branding, you might want to just have your logo in the background, or you might want to have it be clearly in your workplace so that the space that you're in actually helps promote your brand or the point, the mission of your video. Another thing that you can think about is having good lighting. Natural light can be great. Make sure that you are facing the camera and keep in mind what the shadows are looking like in the room. So if you can have a nice, well-lit video, it can often look more appealing to people as they watch those videos. And last but not least is sound. I'm hoping, and we did lots of testing before today's webinar, I hope that you all can hear me loud and clear and there's no background noise. I'm in a silent little tiny room with a headset on right now with a microphone. And the third tip is to speak confidently. Well, I'm feeling pretty confident, but hopefully those 3 points can apply to today's webinar. And I'm confident about what I'm speaking. And that can help you sell your products and services more effectively. Now, this is a webinar about videos. So I don't typically do this. I typically talk the whole time, but I'm actually going to play some videos today to try to illustrate some of the points that I've been talking about. So this first video that I am going to play is going to be talking about or focusing on attracting attention from the beginning. I want you to think, the formal way of saying is front load your story arc. But basically what I mean is, don't bury the lead. Figure out what it is you want this video to tell people at the very beginning and try to attract their attention from the very start of the video. Again, people have a choice. They can watch your ad, your video, or they can move on. You really only have a few seconds to capture their attention. So if you can open with impact and plunge them into action, you'll have a better chance of keeping them there. Another thing that you can try in the video, if it's an option, is to use a familiar face, a friendly or relatable face. Sometimes you'll see that people use influencers from a particular community or an industry that an audience might recognize and then resonate with. Another thing is make sure that you're building your video with the sound on. So videos are going to typically expect audio in their content. And so in the correlation of the studies that we have seen show that sound is often associated with fostering attention and positive brand response. And last but not least, consider creative elements. Viewers are inclined to watch videos that make them laugh, and we've seen that humor is associated with higher brand awareness and ad recall. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to play the first video, and you'll see how it's using the visuals. It's using that story to hopefully grab the attention and open with a big impact. One note for all of our viewers out there, this session contains streaming videos. So depending on your bandwidth, you may experience slower load times, buffering, or intermittent connectivity. So we recommend that if you have slower bandwidth, that you close all excess programs on your computer, which will optimize your experience. If you can't see it now, the session will be available for an on-demand viewing after 7 p.m. Eastern Time on May 3rd. But most of you out there should be able to see this first video. So I'm going to turn controls over to our administrators. And would you mind playing the Copenhagen Wheel video for us?
I went all the way up the hill, like not even a thing. I just went over it. Pretty awesome.
Everything that I wondered about it is true.
The motor, the battery, all contained in the wheel, no cables. That's the beauty of this device.
Just how fast it goes.
Feels supernatural.
I like my bike, and I want to keep my bike.
Love the regeneration mode because it made it feel going downhill safer, less effort, and I knew it was regenerating the batteries.
That was really cool. It's like the boost I always wish I had.
It's a mix of both pedaling and assist as well. And also it fits onto your own bike, right?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it's a game changer.
Stand by.
They did a lot of things and integrated a lot of the tips. They had good lighting, they had action, they used sound, they were creative, they tried to really showcase that product and service and capture your interest in the very beginning. Now, the second tip that I wanted to share with you is that you want to try to integrate your brand naturally. Heavily salesy video. The brand placement, the brand usage matters. So what you want to try to do is show your product in its actual use, and trying to build a connection with that viewer. It has, again, a higher association with ad recall and viewership, and audio association with ad recall and viewership, and audio, again, can really reinforce it. I really like this next video because it has a very strong musical track that helped me remember this video. And studies have shown that it can actually increase associations with brand lift. So let's actually play this next video, and you can see how this person, this company, is using their video to reinforce the message and the usage of their products. Would you all mind playing that video for me?
Sorry, not sorry. Pardon this army. Young C's, we ready to get gnarly. Like you receive it ain't what it seems. While you sleep, I'm living my dreams. You prevail. I was born a champion, boy. I never fail. Just trying to earn your heart. Call me Dale. Church full of evil guys, only hell. I'm a young voodoo child, know the spell. Know the spell. Yo, check the spell. Yeah, check the spell. They ain't ready. Yo, want you to win, want you to win. They just sheep running into the lion's den. They out, fangs out when you see me grin. Fully rage, on take the animal. See innocence, I see innocent. Sick of acting, we about to start blasting. Sick of waiting, we about to start taking. We occupy the spot and leave every street vacant.
Fight the power. Ignite the towers. Yo, the night is ours. Just fight the power. We gotta fight the powers that be. Just fight the power. Fight the tower. We gon' ride for hours. Just fight the power. We gotta fight the powers that be.
I lost a lot of friends next to kin. Everybody mean well till the checks come in. I'm known to get rowdy. I'm black and proud. I hit like Ali. You just in the crowd.
let's take a look at the next slide. Let's talk about storytelling and how you can use that to connect with viewers. So one other way that you can try to really connect with people as they watch you is, or watch your videos, is developing an emotional connection, humor and suspense, and higher ad recall. Another thing that will matter is watch time. So if you can create that connection with that storytelling, then you can actually get people to watch your videos even longer. One way that you may have heard about doing this is this, it's a saying called the fourth wall. And basically that's this idea, if any of you have come from the theater or the film world, that there is this invisible wall between the talent, the people that are on the screen, and the people who are actually watching. So if you can think about using your video as a way to break through that fourth wall and really connect what you're saying with people on, or what you're saying with the people who are watching you, with the person who's saying it, you can really get that deeper connection and help your marketing messages come through even more effectively. You're also going to be analyzing and testing. So with many video platforms, there will be built-in analytics. And you can actually see which stories or how long people are watching your videos. And that can help you understand whether or not your stories, your videos are actually connecting with people. You might notice that, okay, I've created this video and people watch the first 3 minutes, but after minute 3, it drops off. Or maybe that's pretty optimistic. Maybe it's a minute, maybe it's 10 seconds. But you can look at those analytics and say, aha, this is where my video may need to be improved. Or maybe this is where I stop my video and I create the next video in my series. But you can test different variations of your creative with these analytics tools to see which ones are going to resonate the most with your audience, which ones are going to get the longest watch time. So now let's take a look at the next video. We're not going to play the whole thing. It's a little bit long, so we'll play about the first minute and a half or so. But I want you to be paying extra attention or paying attention to how this video is using storytelling to try to connect the experience, the emotional connection of their affinity with the oceans and the water to you, the audience. So let's play that video next.
The only reoccurring dream I've ever had is breathing underwater. My name is Rachel Miller. I am captain of the American Promise and co-founder and executive director of Rosalia Project for a Clean Ocean. I grew up in upstate New York. The amazing opportunity to spend time in lakes and rivers and in the ocean all added up to a deep and significant love for everything water. Everywhere I've ever sailed, today, that's what made me realize that there was some big scale challenges that the ocean faces. And that's how Rosalia Project was born. Bringing people together on a sailboat is a unique experience. There's something about having to work with the elements the way we do that helps people see the human collective impact on the ocean and the planet. We like to fill our boat up with a variety of people. It's these different perspectives that are going to come at the solutions in their own unique ways. We get out there and we get our hands dirty, sandy, salty, and muddy and clean up. We're not just saving creatures, but we're saving the whole balance of the ocean. And then looking at that data to fight the problem of marine debris in a truly effective way. Seeing the value in everything and being excited by the beauty of the ocean and its creatures, we know that will make a difference. We made this problem, but we do believe we can fix it.
Every day, one of our own has difficulty obtaining the necessary health care for their needs. We need to support those that have been wounded in the fight for our freedoms. Many times they struggle with financial and legal issues all because of their sacrifice. You can help a family member visit their loved ones that have given so much for our country. Join the fight to provide the necessary tools and resources for wounded veterans as they recover and transition back to the world they so bravely fought for. It's time we be the wings for our wounded warriors. These wounded warriors fought for us. It's time we fight for them.
Hey everybody. So what you just saw, we skipped ahead over to play that video, and that video actually at the very, very end of the video, it was telling you to join, to support the mission, to support this organization. So one thing that can really help, again, with your video and with all of your marketing campaigns is to include a call to action, a CTA. You may have noticed an overlay that played on the video that showed that they were telling people with the text what next step to take, what website to visit. It could be what phone number to call, where to make a donation, where to visit. So with any marketing campaign, if you can clearly tell your viewer what that next step should be, you're going to have generally a more effective outcome. So think about your videos combining all of those tips that I put together, attracting attention from the beginning, integrating your brand, telling a story that connects with viewers, and last but not least, finishing up with a clear call to action. And that can really help your video promote your products and services in an effective and natural and not too salesy way. So let's talk about some takeaways from today's session. When you're coming up with your video concepts, remember to attract attention from the start. You want to add your brand in naturally and meaningfully. You want to try to connect with your audience through that emotion, through that story, and then tell people what to do next with that call to action. All right, let's go to the last bit, optimizing video content for improved results. So let's talk about some things that you can do. First of all, make sure that your titles and descriptions clearly describe the videos that you're going to show. And it's going to help people understand what that content is. It'll help it be found more easily. You don't want to write too much, though. One tip is to try to keep your titles to about 45 characters or less. And that way, again, just like the content, don't bury the lead. Put the most important words and phrases at the beginning of this description. Descriptive and searchable content is going to help viewers understand what the video is about, and it will help search engines match people who are searching for video content with what it is that with the videos that are out there. So having a well-written description that includes important keywords can increase the chance that it will be displayed in the search results, which can then boost your views and your watch time as well. So that's the first tip to think about when you are creating your videos. The second thing to think about is the thumbnail. A thumbnail is that image that you see at the start. It shows, basically it's that visual representation of what that video is going to be. So try to use visual cues like bright colors or compelling images, shapes that are recognizable, big personalities that are also consistent with your brand, but also connect or get people's attention. Think about how that thumbnail is going to look. Is it well framed? Is it a good composition from a photograph standpoint? Does the foreground stand out from the background? Make sure that the thumbnail looks good and is clear on what it is from both a small and a large size. So look at it on a mobile device. Always be thinking about how this thing will look on a mobile device. And also make sure that the thumbnail that you choose accurately represents the content that you're going to show in the video. So let's talk about some recommended file specifications. So for whatever platform you're using, you should look and see what the specific specifications are before you try to upload that image or file. And so here's an example of what those specs might look like. Typically, they'll say, okay, for the video or for the thumbnail, they'll give you the minimum dimensions of that video file. There will also be something like the maximum file size. It might be that they give you 6 megabytes or 100 megabytes for that file size. So you need to keep that in mind. So the larger the video, the longer it is, the higher quality it is, but also the more difficult it might be for people with slower bandwidth to actually see it. So it's finding that nice compromise between a large file size and a good enough quality. And you will also be asked to look at file formats. And the ones listed on this slide are JPEG, GIF, and PNG. And those are actually image formats, and those would apply to your thumbnails. But also for your videos, look at what video formats, what file formats are accepted, whether it's an MP4, .mov file, things like that. And that's going to help set you up for success when you start. For any platform that you're going to use, there will typically be built-in analytics. And so you can look at the analytics to see how your videos are doing and where you might be able to make improvements. So see if you can see how many times your video is played, how much of each video people are actually watching. Are there, can you find any patterns, anything about the types of videos that you have are resonating more or less with your audience? And if you monitor the performance in your analytics, you can use that to help shape your ongoing video strategy and make more videos that will resonate with your target audience. So with that, they're going to yank me off the webinar stage in just a few minutes. I wanted to thank you guys so much for your time today. I hope that I have given you some information that can help you get started promoting your business, your products, and your services using video content. I hope the videos you saw helped inspire you and gave you some ideas for the video content that you can create. And just like that Ratatouille movie where they say anyone can cook, anyone can make a video. So if you've got a smartphone, you can do this. And it's one really great way for you to connect with your audience. And with that, I am going to stop at the Q&A slide and turn control over to Alexa so she can moderate the questions that come in.
Great. Sejah, thank you so much. We will start the Q&A portion of our call. I'll be reading the chat questions that our participants are sending in. And in this time remaining, we will address just as many as we can. And please note that if we don't have time to get to your question, I encourage you to connect with a SCORE mentor after the webinar. Mentors are available today in the mentoring hall and online, www.score.org. So with that, let's go ahead and jump into these questions. Sejah, our first question comes to us from Natalie. So for small businesses, professional videos seem pricey and out of reach. How should small business owners use the tools they have to create quality videos? do you have suggestions on programs or software that they should use to bring the pieces together?
Hi, this is Stasia. Of course, it's me. Well, there are lots of pieces of software that you can use. Probably the easiest thing that you can do is to simply use your mobile device. That's going to be one of the most effective ways to make the video. So there are things that you can do, for example, to make that video look more professional. One easy thing to do is to put it on a tripod or to mount it so that the camera is steady. And that's going to make a big impact on the professionalism. Actual considerations for the space. So another thing that you can do to try to get that sort of big studio feel is to really do some preparation on the actual physical space before you create that video. So again, remove that clutter, make sure that the place has good lighting, make sure that you eliminate, if you can, any of the background noise. I'm not going to recommend any specific editing software out there. There's lots of it out there. But the beauty of this is that there are so many options. It is very affordable and accessible to small business owners, and you can do it just with your phone as well. Back to you, Elizabeth.
Okay, our next question comes from Angela. She would like to know if she should use captions within her videos, saying that she's heard that most folks actually have their sound off.
Right, that is a great question. You absolutely can. It depends on the video and what you're trying to communicate. A lot of times, a lot of platforms, people do expect to hear that audio. And some platforms actually allow viewers to turn captions on and off that are automatically generated. If you want to have control of those captions yourself and create them and make sure that it says exactly what you want it to say, then sure, you could absolutely add that in. One example of things that the way I've used it, if I have a multilingual audience, in some cases, if I have let's use an example where I have a video where people were speaking in English, but I had a lot of Spanish people in my audience, of Spanish speakers, I could put Spanish captions over the top of the video. So part of it is depending on your particular needs for that audience at the time. So long-winded way for me to answer the question. I think captions are valuable. Depending on the platform you're using, it may be a built-in feature, but you also have the ability to add them yourself with most editing software, and that will give you even more control over exactly what you want that caption to say in relation to your video. But yes, that is an absolutely, it's a very useful tool as it makes your videos even more accessible to a wider audience.
Okay, our next question, it comes from Lisa. And Lisa says, while it's great to use humor within videos for certain types of businesses, what about serious services like funerals or divorce mediation?
Everything back to my spin class, but it's like my spin class when I started off by saying, I'm going to coach you through things today, but not every single tip that I tell you applies to you. And I think that's kind of the same with any of these lessons, where there are certainly some suggestions that would apply to any kind of product or service that you're marketing, but not all of them. So if I was to take an example of a more somber business, I would look at things like, well, I still care about the space that I'm showing, and I'm still talking about, I want the lighting and I still want good sound, but maybe rather than trying that humor, which wouldn't be a good fit, I want to really focus on the emotional storytelling aspect, where that is going to be the piece where I can still use the techniques that I talked about in a serious and empathetic way to communicate the message that I'm trying to accomplish. But you're absolutely right. Not every single tip is going to apply to every single business. What I would, again, recommend doing is I always like to look, like I said earlier, look at what other people in your space, in your category, are doing for their videos. It doesn't mean that you necessarily want to emulate or replicate exactly what they're doing, but you can also get some guidance about what people are already doing to help promote products and services in whatever space you are trying to promote.
Okay, Anastasia, we have time for one, maybe two more questions for today. So our next question comes to us from Carolyn. And Carolyn asks, if you use real people in your videos, do you have to compensate them and or get their permission to use the video? Should you get this in writing?
Well, I am not an attorney. So I would say that the first thing that I would need to say is check with your attorney on that kind of thing. I will tell you that for any video that we have created that have people in them, we do get written releases to get permission to use them. It's always a good idea if that is an option. But if you're in a situation where you have a video of a crowd and people are personally identifiable, I would recommend that you check with legal counsel just to make sure you go ahead and do that. Whenever you can, it's always good to have permission. Now, I've never had to pay people to be in my videos. I mean, they agreed to do it and they made that video. But again, that would probably be something that I would recommend asking an attorney to just make sure you've covered all your bases.
Okay, those are all the questions that we have time for today. A survey will be launched here momentarily, and we'd appreciate if you could take just a couple of moments to complete the survey and tell us your thoughts and your suggestions. We hope that you will join us for the next webinar, Pop and Play, how opening a pop-up shop can help launch your brand, and that will be starting in 30 minutes. So, ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of the SBA, SCORE, and Google, I'd like to thank you all for attending this webinar and give a very big thank you to Stasia Kudras for presenting with us today. Stasia, thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Alexa. Happy National Small Business Week, everybody.
Thanks so much, and we'll see you on the next webinar.
All right, so that is, we're still tuned in to the National Small Business Week virtual conference done by the Small Business Association and SCORE. You just heard the webinar for putting and making videos, putting them online and being effective in your marketing of your business, program, initiative, conference, whatever your endeavor is. So thanks for tuning in. It is 3:30 Eastern Time and 12:30 Pacific on May 3rd, 2018. Happy Small Business Week. As stated, the next virtual conference, not keynote, but seminar will be done by Kimco Realty, and it is about a pop and play. Starts in just about half an hour, and it is how opening a pop-up shop can help launch your brand. So if you are interested, it starts in just a half an hour and will go for an hour and a half or so. All right, see you then. Peace and blessings. And keep building. More love.